I'm so excited for today's video because I love taking vertical photos and also vertical videos. And you're probably like, why would you want it to be vertical on YouTube? It's not for YouTube, it's for Instagram. Coming up. We get down to the beat. So whether you're creating vertical photo and video for Instagram, for TikTok, for Reels, for whatever it may be, it's really tough with a drone because it's always shooting that 16:9. And so I'm going to show you some of the tips that people always are asking me about on my Instagram, because I love showing how I do all of these drone shots on my Instagram as well as this YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Christine and this is Create with CL, where I give away all of my secrets on what goes behind being a travel creator, and one of my tools is my drone. Make sure you check the description below because I have tons of helpful info and resources in there and I wouldn't want you to miss a thing. But I'm going to be showing you a quick tutorial on this Drone Tip Tuesday on how I get these shots. And for these drone shots, I'm going to be using my Mavic Air 2. And this is a style of shot that this drone has that the Mavic Mini and the Mavic Mini 2 doesn't have. That's one of the key differences between these two styles of drones, is this one has more options within the drone to do powerful things like create these types of shots. And so if you're considering the Mavic Mini 2 or the Mavic Air 2S, make sure you check the link in the description below for more info on those. And to be totally honest, I wish I had the Mavic Air 2S. The drone is so good! Let's step into my office and break it down and make me small. Let's start with photo first, because this is literally a push of a button. And one of the pro tips I have, and this is a setting that works really well for me in case it might work for you, is that I am going into the settings into camera and I am changing the setting to be a 4:3 ratio instead of 16:9. In other words, you don't have so long of a hamburger that you're working with. It's a little bit shorter, so it works really well back and forth between Instagram as well as I'm pulling images into YouTube. For me, I'm not fancy on the editing side, FYI. I use just straight JPEG instead of JPEG and RAW. And for the sake of example, all the photos I'll be sharing with you today will be straight out of the drone and will not be edited. That's a different video. So in this first example, I want to share a story with my Instagram viewers about how I'm on a beach that's completely empty. You can see that there's no one on this beach, but I would love to tell it in the Instagram stories. And so when I take the vertical panoramic, it gives you a little bit more of an interesting perspective, as well as it continues to tell that story of, wow, you cannot see a single person on the sand. So that's one example. In this next one, you can see that I'm in my car and there's a long stretch. I want to tell this story of, like, it's a long stretch of road on this island. What would be more interesting in the stories is to get a different perspective. So in this vertical panoramic, you can see a lot more of the road. It's a little bit more interesting looking. So let me show you what I'm literally pressing in the drone. So this is the normal 4:3 photo versus I want to tell a story of how I'm at the beach and flying my drone. You can see the shadow of the drone in this picture. And so literally what I'm doing is I'm clicking on that photo button and it's bringing me to all the options, and I'm scrolling down to panoramic. And when I scroll into pano, I'm choosing vertical panoramic. And this is one of the fastest panoramics that are in there that it takes. It's literally just 3 shots. And one pro tip I have for you, you gotta stay as still as possible. This was a little bit more of a risky shot in the sense that there were waves going in the background and that could have messed with this panoramic. So one consideration is don't try to take them in a place where there's a ton of movement happening. And if you have a subject, for me, it was me. And so I'm trying to stay as still as possible for the photo. Ooh, here's another tip. Try moving your drone around a little bit to get different angles. So for this next shot, I moved my drone back a little bit and I shifted the gimbal down to look at me. So it's capturing a little bit more of everything. And then I moved it again, just a little bit further back to see if that might make a little bit of a more interesting photo as well. So try moving your drone around, bringing it further back, tilting the gimbal in different ways. And actually, speaking of the gimbal, here's another interesting one. Here's the normal photo of what it looks like in a top-down shot. So your gimbal's pointing all the way down at 90. In this example, you can do a panoramic when it's facing directly down. And I think this is a really unique one. I love doing shots like this, especially with boats in docks. Oh, I love that kind of photo. All right, let's talk about video, but first, if you're getting some value out of this video, make sure you cheers that like button and consider subscribing and check the description so you don't miss a thing. And if you take any vertical photos or videos, make sure you tag me on Instagram so I can see them. And tell me in the comments if you have any questions. I'll do my best to answer them. Okay, video. There's two things to consider when you're shooting video. The first one, especially if it's your Instagram stories, TikTok, things like that, consider making them short clips, especially if it's the entire story, 15 seconds or less, so it's not
a bunch of stories.
The other thing is you want things to be tight on the horizon, so make me small. You can see in this clip, as I start running, I'm way off on the side of the frame. And so if this were cropped vertical, it's kind of a weird angle. You can see that like the horizon of the beach isn't in the right place either. So one of the things you want to do is line up your drone so it will work really well when it's cropped in for that vertical. So in this example, you can see that I'm lined up with the horizon so that as I'm walking forward and the drone's coming forward, and you can see I have that plus sign turned on in the settings so that I can keep it perfectly on the horizon as I bring the drone forward and up. So cropped in, it looks like this. And one of the other things to know is that this is not a quick shot. I'm manually flying the drone and I'm simply pressing forward until it passes me. And as soon as it passes me, I'm continuing to press forward, but now I'm just flying the drone up at the same time. Super easy movement forward and then simply up. I love this shot to reveal kind of like where I'm at in general. So often we're so focused on Instagram stories of just talking to the camera and showing exactly what's happening in a single spot. But in this one, it's demonstrating where you are. And so I have the drone focused on the coast and I'm simply flying it back and up. So it's kind of revealing more and more and more of where I'm at. I love flying drones. Drones are so fun and so easy, and I'm here to give you helpful tips to get you into flying drones like a badass in no time, because I don't know why everyone makes it feel so complicated. It's not. Cheers that like button if you haven't already, and I hope to see ya in the next adventure. Ciao.